everybody, welcome back to an episode of the 3 Count. I'm War Machine MJ, still second place predictions champion of the 3 Count Mafia. I'm here today to talk about the post SummerSlam Raw and Smackdown. Wanted to call it Survivor Series for some reason, but who knows why that is. Anyway, we kicked off Monday Night Raw. Of course, Raw and Smackdown were in Toronto, as of course SummerSlam weekend was. We kicked off the show with dorky guy trying to be cool guy Seth Rollins. I forget what he was talking about. I could just not care less about Seth Rollins at this point. Anyway, and he talked about what a great champion he was, blah, 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 blah. Out comes the United States champion, AJ Styles, and the OC, the official, original, only club that matters. Came out there basically giving Seth his props, saying, yeah, you're good, but I'm better, I'm phenomenal. And so the United States champion challenged the Universal champion to a match to close out the show. Even OC teased, just like kind of making Seth jump, two for flinching. Then a little bit later on, we had Street Profits backstage. Story of this was Montez Ford was trying to get hyped up for Raw, but Dawkins was just kind of out of it. No, wait, that was SmackDown. My bad. I'll get to that one in a minute. Anyway, or was that Raw? Damn, I can't remember. Both shows are kind of blending together. Anyway, point is, Street Profits were, being their usual selves. Sami Zayn came in and just basically tried to pee on their party. And he started saying some nasty things about one Samoa Joe, not knowing that Joe was behind him. So Joe basically said, well, you know what, if you got a problem with me, how about you settle it in the ring right now? And then he just gives Sami Zayn a nasty looking shove. Like he put some real stank behind this. Anyway, yeah. Sami Zayn and Joe have their match, and typical Sami Zayn match, he gets beat in no time flat. He tapped to the coquina, out like a light. He's a joke. Samoa Joe then picks up the mic and says, while he forgives Roman Reigns for accusing him of attacking Roman Reigns, he does not forgive the fans. So basically it's, I'm not a softie, I can still drop you like that, essentially. Next, we had the long-awaited showdown between The Miz and Dolph Ziggler. Yeah, Miz coming off of his epic loss to Goldberg at SummerSlam. He basically came into this match feigning like he wasn't, medically cleared for it, and when Miz wasn't looking, he cheap shotted him to jumpstart the match. They had a pretty alright match. Miz made Ziggler tap out to the figure 4, and then Dolph pulled the same shit he pulled at SummerSlam. Just started getting on the mic. Aside from referencing Monty Python, he basically called Miz a coward, and he even said his wife was a better wrestler than him. That prompted Miz to come down and drop Dolph Ziggler with a skull-crushing finale. As far as what old Dolph is up to now, everything's up in the air for that man. Because one rumor says he was on a appearance basis for Vince, and Vince has told him to, go do his thing, and then another report says that that deal was thrown out the window. Vince basically told him he's going to pay him to just sit at home. So who knows what's up with Ziggler now. Next, we had a backstage segment with Paul Heyman coming into the arena. You know, they do one of these backstage segments where they film it, no commentaries talking over it right before they go to commercial, and it's basically Heyman giving some of the security guys a little gruff. You know, he walks through the metal detector and he yells out "beep," and then he walks to Brock Lesnar's dressing room. We come back from commercial. There's an interview where Paul Heyman says Brock Lesnar will not get a title rematch for the Universal Championship. That could mean he's going after the WWE Championship now. I hope not. Because if Kofi drops that belt to anybody, which it should be a while before he drops that belt, if he drops it to anybody, it's somebody else other than Brock. Anyway, go back to in-ring as we had Elias. And he's starting to notice a pattern. Every time he starts to strum up a song, he gets interrupted. So he kept teasing that he was going to play a song, expecting somebody to interrupt him. And when he finally lets his guard down and gets halfway through a song, out comes one and only Ricochet. So they have a match, and Ricochet rolled up Elias for the win. However, there was a unplanned botch. Elias had his shoulder up off the mat, and you can tell when it's storyline and not based on commentary. If commentary draws attention to it, it's storyline. But if they don't draw attention to it, it's a botch. Anyway, next was a 2 out of 3 falls match between Rey Mysterio and Andrade El Idolo. God, can we get a full program between these two? Not just one match 1 week, one match on the next, and then cool it off. We need to get a whole series between these two, culminating in a hair versus mask. Come on, do it up. Yeah, because these guys put on a clinic every time they step in there. Andrade won with a clean sweep. The first fall was Andrade went for a quick pin. Ray had his feet on the ropes, but Zelina Vega knocked him off before the referee could see. And on the second decisive fall, the final decisive fall, Andrade hit the hammerlock DDT for the win. Afterwards, there was a backstage segment where Rey Mysterio he doesn't know where his future is heading. So yeah. Next, we had a segment where Michael Cole talks to Stone Cold Steve Austin via Skype, which Skype is a whole nother mess. Why couldn't they just get a cameraman on location? Whatever. Anyway, all this was a 5-second plug for his new show on USA. And then the rest of the time was Stone Cold just kayfabe selling for Seth Rollins. Because it always seems so uninterested when he has to do it for storyline purposes. But if it's just like on his podcast and he's talking somebody up, oh man, he goes over the moon for whoever. Like Kevin Owens, for example. He'll go over the moon for Kevin Owens on his podcast, but if he's forced to talk about them on Monday Night Raw or something or another, he just sounds kind of a bit on the robotic side. Anyway, next we got Drew McIntyre, Cedric Alexander. I'm glad they're using Cedric Alexander because since the initial shakeup and the 24 shenanigans, they weren't doing anything with Cedric Alexander, despite him being the longest reigning cruiserweight champion, or one of the longest reigning cruiserweight champions. I don't know. Him and Neville's record are kind of like 1A, 1B. Anyway, yeah, he sold the hell out of everything for Drew McIntyre, especially that Claymore kick. Man, he did a full flip with it. Yeah, Drew McIntyre put Cedric away in a really good match. Just bang up. Great match. There was an announcement for the King of the Ring tournament. Let's see if that will pull up the list of who's competing. Okay, yeah, it does. We'll get into that in between Raw and SmackDown. Next, there was a throwaway match between the glorious Robert Roode. Yes, he's back to full beard. And No Way Jose. And the commentary team tried to sell this as just a colossal opportunity for Robert Roode, which is just he's wrestling in his country. Yeah, he defeated No Way Jose. Big surprise. Next, we were going to have a Lucha House Party versus Revival match, which that got thrown out the window quick because R-Truth led the 24/7 conga line through the match, where R-Truth got pinned by the Revival, who became the first 24/7 co-champions. Who, Dash Wilder got pinned by R-Truth to regain it. Then when R-Truth ran out there, was in the clear, Elias took the belt from R-Truth. So yeah, as of this recording, Elias is the current 24/7 champion. Next, we had a backstage segment from Becky Lynch, basically, giving Natalya what little props she gave, but basically said Becky Lynch is on a woman hunt. She's out to repay all the women that have done her wrong. So yeah. Speaking of Natalya, she came out there and cut a promo that was met with a lot of whats or borings, as she gave some props to Becky and says this isn't over in between us, even though her arm is in a literal sling. Then she started going into a heartfelt tangent about losing her dad, and her dad was proud of her no matter what, all this, that, and the other. And then there was the return of Sasha Banks, which is great and all, but Michael Cole just needs to shut up, because as soon as Sasha pops out there, he yells out "boss time," and it's just like, dude, let it breathe. You don't have to speak. Anyway, Sasha came out there, and she basically gave Natty a hug and said, "Your dad, he's proud of you." Looked like she was going to go for a mic. Turns around and she just waylays Natalya, pulls off her purple hair, and she's rocking the blue hair. Blue hair, just don't care, because she started beating the hell out of Natalia. Then after damage has been done, um, Becky Lynch came out there. My future ex-wife. I can't believe I forgot her name. Anyway, she came out there, got her a piece of Sasha. Sasha, however, turned the tables with a chair and just waylaid into Becky with it, including one nasty spot where where a chair caught back of Becky's head and almost looked like she got that kind of damage Cody had at Fighter Fest, where he just had a slice in the back of his head. Yeah. So Sasha's back, and she's back as a heel, which, there we go. That's what needed to happen. Next up, Viking Raiders defeated two more poor saps. Then we had, hold the phone, folks. Next we had, and you're going to want to pay special attention to the words that are coming out of my mouth, a second women's tag team title defense. 2 in a row. As Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross took on Kairi Sane and Asuka, the Kabuki Warriors. I almost forgot their individual names because that's how little they've been featured on TV. Anyway, yeah, this was another bang up match. But however, the Kabuki Warriors, their opportunity would be all for naught, as Bliss and Cross would leave Toronto as tag team champions. And then finally, in the main event, we had United States Champion versus Universal Champion, as Seth Rollins and AJ Styles went at it. This was a relatively decent match. However, when the tides were swinging right in Seth Rollins' way, AJ Styles came, well, not AJ Styles, the OC, who are at ringside, got involved. They started beating down Seth Rollins, and a good 2 minutes after they laid into Seth Rollins, Ricochet come out. Now, in the past couple of weeks, I called Ricochet an asshole for waiting far too late to come out there. This time I give him a pass, because yeah, people aren't really on board with Seth Rollins, especially since he's not really cool. Anyway, Ricochet gets, well, he gets his butt kicked. Then out comes a returning Braun Strowman to even the odds. Rollins and Strowman stand tall. Ricochet kind of stumbles his way into the ring. Then Braun Strowman grabs the Universal title, looks at it for an alarmingly amount of time, and then hands it to Seth. So, who knows where that's heading. Anyway, that was Monday Night Raw. That was a pretty entertaining show. Anyway, the King of the Ring is going to start next Monday. There's a field of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 8. There's a field of 16 superstars, 8 from Raw, 8 from Smackdown. And they are as follows. From Raw, you have The Miz, Ricochet, Cedric Alexander, Samoa Joe, Drew McIntyre, Baron Corbin, Sami Zayn, and Cesaro. From SmackDown, you've got Kevin Owens, who we'll get to in a little bit, Ali, Apollo Crews, Chad Gable, Elias, Andrade, Buddy Murphy, and Shelton Benjamin. Now, as far as who I've got to win the King of the Ring, because yeah, there's nothing for the winner. Anyway, as far as who I've got to win, I've got 3 names in mind, and it's pretty much of who I'd like to see win, who needs to win, and who Vince is going to wind up picking to win. Alright, here we go. Who I'd like to see win. Ricochet. Because, I mean, Ricochet's great. This would do wonders for his career on the main roster. Not to mention, on the indie scene, he went by King Ricochet. You know, he had the crown and everything. Who needs to win? Yeah, who needs to win? I'd say Drew McIntyre. Because, yeah, either Drew McIntyre or Samoa Joe, they need to win because it would do mega bucks for their careers. You know, just book them back to legitimacy. And who Vince is going to pick probably going to pick to win it? Baron Corbin. Because of the same dumbass reason he believes Baron Corbin is world champion material. Because all the ladies swoon for him. Whatever. Just whatever. Next we move on to Smackdown Live, where we kicked off the show with Kevin Owens, who basically said he pulled the thorn that is Shane McMahon out of his backside when he beat him at SummerSlam. And then he said he was going to go on to win King of the Ring, and then here comes the money. There's just this great character work for Kevin Owens where he just drops to his knees out of just sheer annoyance. Because he face palms, drops to his knees, and it's just kind of... Before Shane even starts with his rhetoric, Kevin Owens is just sitting there, he's just like, why? Why are you out here? Why? Why? Yeah, basically, Shane O'Mac said that you didn't win in a respectful fashion Sunday. You put your hands on Elias, who was a official at that point. Not to mention, you kicked me in the front area. And then there was this back and forth about basically KO calling out Shane's manhood. Shane McMahon says, well, you know, I'm not going to fire you because that's too easy. I'm going to sue you $100,000. And Kevin Owens is obviously upset about this because he goes on to a rhetoric of, you know, that's not money for me, that's for my family. That's, you know, to put a down payment on a house, on a car, children's college fund. KO is just kind of pleading a little bit with Shane to, you know, do something else. And Shane just goes, nope, and walks away. KO's obviously upset about this. He basically just sprints towards Shane. You know, it winds up in their office. Come back from commercial. KO is in Shane's office, and Shane says, listen, if you hit me, I'm not going to sue you. I'm not going to fine you. I'm going to sue you. And then Kevin Owens, you know, he's just conflicted because he's just like, I want to knock this guy out, but I can't do that to my family. That's gonna rob them of, you know, of support. So KO's just like, you know what, fine, okay, all right. Make it 105. He throws a stool at the chair and just at the TV and just walks out. Yeah. Then we had a one-on-one match between Charlotte Flair and Ember Moon, and Ember Moon is quickly building herself back up from oblivion because she had a stellar showing at SummerSlam, and she had a stellar showing Tuesday on Smackdown. But what really didn't help her this week was how quick she tapped out to Charlotte's figure. I guess you could call it figure six, because Charlotte got the win, but she went for the figure eight. She had the figure four logged in, and she was trying to get the full extension on the figure eight. She was halfway there when Ember Moon started tapping. Come on, you gotta milk it. There's not much drama if you just tap right away. You gotta milk it a bit. That makes your your character a bit more credible if you can fight through the pain even for like a couple of seconds more before you just decide to just character flaw. Next up, there was a backstage segment where Shane O'Mac was getting interviewed because he said KO is going to be in competition. And, he was thinking of opponents, and then in walks Samoa Joe, who basically said, "Oh, so KO's walking around here thinking he's Mr. Billy Badass. I am going to put him in his place." So yeah, that match was made official. Speaking of made official, Buddy Murphy, the best kept secret. Well, the secret's out, folks, because him and Roman Reigns had a stellar match this week on 205. Roman just sold everything for Buddy. And it was just a fantastic match. Despite the fact Roman Reigns still won, Buddy Murphy still looked like $1,000,000. Earlier, well, no. Yeah, it happened after this match, because Daniel Bryan and Rowan came out there, and we talk about Samoa Joe being a masterclass on the mic. Daniel Bryan is a masterclass on his own, as we'll get to in a little bit. Anyway, Daniel Bryan and Rowan basically call Buddy Murphy a liar, saying, "Oh, you you said Rowan's name, because Roman Reigns had you pinned up against the wall. Anybody would do that, but you said the wrong name, and we're going to prove that because you implicating Rowan implicates me, and we're not going to stand for that." So we'll come back to those three in a little bit later on. Next up, we had Samoa Joe taking on Kevin Owens, and Shane O'Mac popped out there and said, while the 24/7 rule is suspended, Elias was the special guest enforcer for that match. And basically, all shenanigans broke down as Samoa Joe got the quick roll-up victory on Kevin Owens. Then we go backstage, and Bryan and Rowan basically tell the men's locker room to clear out with the exception of Buddy Murphy. And back to what I was saying about Daniel Bryan being a masterclass in the mic, this segment proved it. Because, Daniel Bryan tried to this interaction with Rowan and Daniel Bryan felt like a supervillain and henchman level of back and forth, because Daniel Bryan was basically trying to coerce Buddy Murphy into telling the truth or saying he was a liar. And, Buddy Murphy, again, tried to be cute, and that just basically got him beat down. Because Daniel Bryan, he sits next to Buddy, and he's just like, he does it exactly like this. He says, tell everybody that you're a liar. Tell everybody that you're a liar. You know, gradually stepping up the intensity every time he said it. He barely yelled. He yelled a little bit for this whole promo, but he was all just soft spoken, you know, intense but soft spoken. And then, you know, Buddy Murphy, he stands up, smirking, about to leave. Rowan just basically chucks him around, beats him down, pins him up against the wall, and Daniel Bryan's just like, tell everybody the truth. Tell everybody the truth. You know, just, again, stepping up until he starts yelling it. And then Buddy Murphy admits that he lied, and Daniel Bryan just goes, I hate liars. And then Rowan proceeds to beat the tar out of Murphy. So it was really good. I loved it. Daniel Bryan is just, he's so damn good. Anyway, next we move on to our main event, where the New Day come out there and, you know, they're doing their usual shtick. They were taking on the Revival, who were upset that they kind of turned their backs on tag team wrestling to become co 24/7 champion. So they decided to get back at themselves for enjoying fun and games by taking on a team that enjoys fun and games in the New Day. While they were out, while all three members of New Day were out there, just hot dogging, showboating, pancaking, hoo-ha, and all that, Randy Orton comes out there and, you know, he basically says, I found your weakness, Kofi. And I'm still going to take that title from you. I'm going to do whatever it takes, blah, blah, blah. So he pitches the idea to Kofi, why not make it a 6-man tag match? New Day versus the Revival and Orton. You know, everybody's game, so we get this match. In the end, the Revival put Xavier Woods away by dropping him with a Shatter Machine. And all three men, Dash, Dawson, and Orton, beat down on the beat down on the New Day, even though Kofi Kingston held a little resistance. Orton RKO'd everybody, and then just dropped Kofi with a second RKO. However, it was not done from there, as there was an apparently upset Roman Reigns trying to find Bryan and Rowan. He finds them, and Bryan and Rowan be like, newsflash, Buddy Murphy's a liar, and we're not part of it. But we've been launching a counter investigation, and we know who did it. But we're going to tell you next week. So yeah, that's how SmackDown ended. I really like the this whodunit story, because as far as the whodunit stories are concerned, WWE has churned out some real stinkers in the past, like the who kept attacking Big Cass story. That was awful. But this who's trying to take out Roman Reigns story, it's really good because, you know, it's curveballed in different ways. Because, you know, at first, you know, everybody's thinking Samoa Joe did it. Well, then you just see Samoa Joe trying to get some help for Roman Reigns. He didn't do it. Then they started connecting dots saying Buddy Murphy did it. He was just accidentally there. Like, saying it shoot. He was accidentally there, and they capitalized on it. Now, who knows where this could go? It could go anywhere, and I'd still be happy with it. As long as they don't say Roman Reigns is trying to attack himself. But anyway, yeah, that was post SummerSlam Raw and SmackDown. Decent episodes. Not much to say there. As for us, if you miss Rod's stupid, ugly face but love his opinions, he has a podcast. It is Prime Talk with Rodimus Prime, only on the Castbox app. Go ahead and check it out. He talks about all sports. Since football season's up, you know he's probably talking a lot of football trash. So, with that being said, I'm War Machine MJ of the 3 Count Mafia, and I will see you guys next time.